Hey, what's up? It's your boy Stephen McCoy, and you are listening and watching Sessions with Stephen. And today we have the Pooch Hall. What's going on?
Big
You know, you
Steve, what's
have to
going
say
on, brother?
the.
Huh?
You have to say the Pooch Hall.
The Pooch Hall, yeah, it's crazy, man. Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Of
It's
course.
so weird. It's so weird you say that because people will, before we were wearing masks, they would come up to me and be like, "Are you Pooch Hall?" I'm like, "Yeah, Pooch." They're like, "No, but you're Pooch Hall." Like, it's so weird. It's this weird thing where it's like, uh, I'm trying to think of who else's name that they will say the full name, like Will Smith. Like they'll say, "It's Will Smith," like Will
Right,
Smith.
right,
Like it's just,
right. Well, you're
I just thought it was
most
funny.
certainly making your way, and you definitely created almost like a little lane for yourself. I feel like. I mean,
Yeah,
you have
thank you,
um,
man.
you've been doing a great, amazing job. You have an Apple Plus show that's just come out. I mean, you have a game show. I mean, we can go all over the place. So let's start off with how are you doing first?
Oh, thank you for asking me that, Steve. I think sometimes people tend to forget. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and it was a crazy 2020. And despite and a lot's happened, I feel good, man. And I've come to a place, Steve, where I've learned to try to focus on the positive and the silver lining,
Yeah,
because first and foremost, there's a lot of things out of your control, and worrying about stuff that you can't control, it only messes with your energy, and it makes people depressed. So I've been very fortunate to really be in tune with myself, to stay positive, try to do positive things,
yeah,
embrace all my feelings, good, bad, and indifferent, and try to address them or share them to work through it. And um, a lot of people sometimes don't realize it's okay to not be okay.
yeah,
And I'm very fortunate to I got some good tools that I have, and I've been in a real good place, man. With my family, staying productive, staying
yeah,
busy professionally, and getting myself right, man. Just like staying healthy,
yeah,
and you know, trying not to let the outside world influence me too much, especially if it's not positive, and just thankful to God that I'm alive and well, and being able to continue to be a voice, share my time with you and the people listening.
yeah, definitely. And you mentioned staying healthy. How were you able during the quarantine to stay not only physically fit but mentally fit? How how did you get through that time?
Um, it for the most part, it was cool.
I
I
mean,
live in
we do
Cali.
have syndicated shows on
Yeah.
television, so I don't feel like it. Maybe yeah, that made it a little easy. I'm sure. Yeah,
Thank you, man. I've been, I live. Fortunately, I live in California, where the weather is, 9 times out of 10, it's beautiful,
yeah,
and y- God's provided me with a lifestyle that, when they shut stuff down, I'm able to work out here at my house. I have a gym in my back house, and then we have the fruits of California as far as weather and outdoors, the
yeah,
hiking. They have a lot of outdoor gyms and parks and stuff that, I was able to kind of like work out with my son, and,
hmm,
we would go for hikes and everything like that.
yeah,
And, what it did was allowed me to look within myself and say, okay, what can we do differently?
mm,
What can we do to weather this storm per se? And um, um, what can we do to weather this storm? And we start to say, hey, you know what? It's almost like a New Year's resolution. I'm gonna start eating healthier. I'm going to cut back on sugars, because what that stuff does is it messes with the mental, Steve. And then if you're not in a good place mentally, it usually will affect other areas to where it's like you'll start to depress eat. Maybe you'll drink more. Maybe you'll, you won't eat. You know what I mean? So I'm very fortunate that I was able to do a lot of those things towards the positive side,
Mhm.
working out, eating right, and getting myself back to a place where when this is over, I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, ready to rock. And
Hmm.
you most certainly have been rocking. You have the Apple Plus show called Cherry that's on. Can you speak to us a little bit about that?
Oh man, yes, Cherry. Excuse me,
No problem. And
Cherry.
staying hydrated, guys, is very
Yeah, you gotta keep that whistle wet, baby. You gotta
absolutely.
keep that whistle wet. Um, Cherry is actually a movie that was directed by the Russo brothers,
Yeah.
Joe and Anthony Russo. And for the people who don't know, I mean, hopefully people do. Those are our Marvel directors who direct the Avengers, and they're some of Hollywood's go-to guys, and like the they was hot right now. And so Cherry stars Tom Holland, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and the movie's based off of a book written by Nico Walker, which is a true story
Yeah.
about a soldier who goes over to Iraq, and he was, born and raised in Cleveland, and he wasn't sure where his life was gonna go, what his purpose was. So, he joined the military, and I was that gateway to him going into the military. I played Sergeant Whomever,
Yeah.
and I got him to believe in himself to where you're making the right decision. And so he went in the army, and once he went over there, he was introduced to a whole new world that he didn't know existed. And one of the things that Nico Walker had mentioned, the guy who wrote the book, was he wanted to highlight some of the darkness and some of the horrors that certain soldiers faced while over there, that sometimes they don't talk about or don't realize that when a soldier comes back and they're going through stuff,
Yeah.
that they went through some serious craziness over there, as far as war, as far as um, the things that come with war. And I can't speak from experience, although my father and my brother were in the military.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, his brother also suffered from PTSD. He's no longer with us,
Mm,
but some of the stories in which he would tell me of the horrors that his brother experienced over there. So um, the movie, is about a kid who has his calling, in a sense, to where I am going to make a choice that, based off of what it is that I'm doing, I'm going to make a choice that might not be the right one. It's just because mentally I'm not stable. And he goes through this whole period of darkness where he starts committing crimes and just doing some dark, ugly things where, I think Tom Holland's performance warrants him definitely an Emmy, not an Emmy, an Oscar nom,
yeah.
because he kills it. We always see Tom as, the kid next door, the doe-eyed like kid who couldn't do no wrong, and then you see this cat pull off a performance that's like, whoa.
Mhm.
And at a young age. So and on top of it, man, he was a great dude. He made me better as an actor, and we just went at it.
Yeah.
And then we had Joe and Anthony Russo kind of quarterbacking our scenes and the whole thing. So I'm really excited to be a part of that film, man. I know being addicted to opioids is a serious thing, and the fact that they're highlighting it and making people aware of it in this film, and how serious it is and the dangers of it and how dark it can get for those people who suffer from addiction. I think it's very important that we take notice of that. And, you know, with addiction comes, you know, mental health that sometimes people tend to overlook. And then we have people who will take their own lives, and it's really scary for some of them people. And it's sad when those things happen and family members and friends lose loved ones. So I'm really happy to be a part of Cherry. Like I said, based off a true story. And, you know, we see an amazing performance by Tom Holland that I think definitely should warrant him an Oscar nomination or, you know, a win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you see him outside of his element in this project, and he went all the way in, literally.
One thing I think a lot of people love about you is that the roles that you choose, it really fit, like, and you bring a lot of life into your roles. I normally, when I do speak to actors who follow that similar, I guess that those selections of great work, are you very selective with the roles that you choose, or, you know?
Well, and it's a great question, by the way. I think first and foremost, I'm so blessed, and I got lucky to be able to get the projects that I've gotten. I'm still working towards being in that position where I can pick and choose. You know, right now, I'm getting roles, or I'm getting auditions, or I'm talking with producers and directors that roles that fit me. And of course, it's easier to play something close to you, but I think each actor brings an element or an essence of ourselves to that character. It's one of the reasons why you'll have a person like myself, let's say a person like, you know, Will Smith or Denzel or, you know, Robert Downey Jr. There's a element of likability and, you know, an element that we possess that we bring to our characters. So that likability is a blessing. It can also be a curse, because then it's like, let's just take myself, or let's say Will Smith, for example. When have you seen Will or myself even playing like a serial killer or wilding out, like, you know, just getting buck wild in a scene? I mean, well, I think Will went there on Suicide Squad. That was probably the most different we've seen of him, but at the same time, it's still Will, and it's kind of like, are you really an assassin? You know what I mean? Are you really killing folks out there, Will? But, you know, you always try, you know, as far as actors, we want to try it all. And I think I've only met Will a handful of times, but I can tell you right now, there's nothing I know he feels he can't do. I mean, he's already shown a lot he's done, and I feel the same way, because like acting is you got to have a competitiveness about acting, in a sense, to where when you become a character or you embody a role, it's like, I'm trying to win. It's almost kind of like I'm trying to get that gold. I'm trying to finish first. And that, you know, work that we put in and the effort and everything that goes with that, when you take your job seriously, you know, you do what it takes and you put that work in. And like I said about Tom Holland, you know, playing such a character that was so different from what he's been playing, and at an early age, like my hat goes off to him. And I feel that not only was he brave enough and had the courage to take on that role, he pulled it off. And I feel as actors, we sometimes don't have a choice. And then sometimes we have some say as far as our character development, to where we can offer suggestions based off of how we see the character or what we want to do to perform it and so forth. But at the end of the day, we don't want the fans to walk away saying, yo, Pooch ain't put it down. You know what I mean? I didn't believe him in that role. Like, for me, then I feel I didn't do my job. You understand? So I want to make sure that whatever character that I'm embodying, when people walk away, they be like, man, I really thought Pooch was like an army sergeant. I really thought Pooch was a football player. I really thought Pooch was a boxer.
Right.
And that way, I know I did my job. You know what I mean? Right. So that's kind of how it is for me as an actor. Everyone else, I can't speak on their process, but I know that for a lot of actors, especially the ones that I know, there's no role they would not, there's no role that I don't feel people wouldn't want to try or be a part of, but you know, it's gotta fit too at the same time.
Right. Now, how do you develop that muscle to portray? Is it just random research? And let's say you're with your family, do you feel that you have to separate a little bit from your family just to transition to that person, or you can turn it off?
I think yeah, that's a great creative question as well, Steve. I think first and foremost, you have to have a great script and you know, and a great character, which that comes within the writer and the writer creating this character and building him based off of whatever the situation may be with this character. I feel, thank God I haven't played a character so dark that I couldn't be around my kids, or, you know, because I'm trying to go to my son's basketball game. I ain't trying to go there acting like, you know, being kind of stuck in the character like the Joker or something crazy. And like people be like, yo, what's wrong? What's wrong with Pooch? Because I got to be at that basketball game, you know, or, you know, just, you know, taking my daughters to school or something like that. So far, Steve, I haven't, you know, been a part of a character to where I don't have to separate so much. You know, and me being me, you know, a lot of people look at me and put me in a similar category as well, as like, you know, that's our boy, he's the cat next door, and he's you know, he's everyone's big brother and everybody's friend, and like, you know, that likability sometimes people see first. And you know, until I wouldn't be able to answer that question, you know, truthfully, until I was able to you know, until I was able to say, hey, you know what, Steve, that question you asked, I played this dark character, and then I found myself like, you know, isolating in a hotel room, you know, for a month. And you see what I'm saying? So like, I can't answer it truthfully until I cross that bridge with a character like that. But right now, I'm going to basketball games, cooking my family dinner, and taking them to parent-teacher conference. You know?
Speaking of which, what are you guys planning to do for Easter? Coming up.
Oh my goodness. It's so strange now. Trying to celebrate and
the line between religion.
Bro, yes, we don't. Right, we don't plan the same. You know what I mean? Or it's almost like when you're making a plan, it's kind of like, all right, we're gonna go do this, but Tommy's sick. Or we, you know, we should probably go do this, but we don't have a car. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's that whole like, but there's a pandemic, and you know, so I think the object, in my opinion, speaking for myself, my family, is as long as we're together and we make it work in a sense to where everyone's happy and together, I think that's the key. You know, being in California, maybe we can take a trip to the beach. Like, the beach is always cool. And we're making do. you know, we're making do, because some states I hear are opened up and they're partying, doing clubs and restaurants and, you know, magic shows. You know, I can't always say that's what's going on here in California, you know, especially, you know, with, you know, the outdoors being open. Sometimes people keep it simple and say, you know what, we may not even try to look to go to a restaurant. We may just go to the beach, have a picnic, or, you know, invite some more friends. Like, hey, you guys want to go to the beach, have a beach day, or go to the park or whatever. So I think it's more about the family being together in joy and harmony and recognizing that it's Passover. So
I love that. And, you know, just speaking of, even with you being a likable person, and I can agree with that. I feel like, you know,
thank you.
you have you definitely have I don't want to say a promising audience, but you do have an audience that automatically it feels they definitely, you know, we're going to support you, right?
Thank you.
And is that a gift and a curse? Not the support part, but the fact that people want to maybe see you in this one way or this one role type, or although I feel like you fairly, all of your roles has been fairly different.
Yeah. I feel like I said, Steve, I mean, it only becomes a curse if all of a sudden I want to play like a character like the Joker or Hannibal Lecter, and they're like, no. Like, I'll give an example. Like when Charlize Theron played her character in Monster, everyone was like, no, you're too pretty to play that character. And we don't, you know, we don't really see it because of, you know, your likability and, you know, you're a model. You like, no, like you're not a serial killing prostitute.
Yeah.
And her competitiveness and her competitiveness, her belief in her talent, and, you know, her being so determined, you know, sometimes you will do what it takes to say, you know what, I'm gonna have to show them, because like sometimes Steve, it's like you got to show them better than you can tell them. And, you know, and some people will be like, oh, I don't believe you until I see it. And all of a sudden, you know, Charlene's coming in as this character when she got the prosthetics and became this, because she's a beast of an actor. Like Charlize Theron ain't no joke. Definitely. And when she transformed, it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? And Meryl Streep is the same way. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like you have to transform and cover up that aura of, I only see you as a nice guy. I only see you as a comedian. I only see you as a model. You gotta dull that down a little bit, and, you know, come through with that darkness that they feel this character's about. But at the same time, what's beautiful about that, Steve, is playing a villain or a dark character, right? What's interesting about that is in their minds, they're thinking what they're doing and about is just. So they may say, I got to stop this. But at the same time, they have a reason and a purpose to be dark or to do what they do. So as we're on the outside looking in, we're like, what the hell are you doing? Or like, that cat's crazy, or she's whatever. But to them, they're like, I'm normal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And thank God for Netflix, because I was able to watch a lot of content, a lot of different content, streaming content. Like I watched The Sinner, I watched Ozark, I watched what's the
Game, maybe?
What happened? Oh, I watched The Game. No. I like The Game never leaves me. The Game is the show that just will not die. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's almost like an immortal show. I mean, they're rebooting it now, from what I heard. I mean, it's a reboot.
From what you heard, you weren't, you know, coming back. That was gonna be the question.
Hey, subscribe now.